actually the Radha Kund, how it was formed. It is said that actually when Srimati Radharani, when we discussed that past time, that when Srimati Radharani looked at Krishna, because her love for Krishna was so exalted, so in that ecstasy, it is said that actually she melted, and that actually then that become the part of the Radha Kund. It was said like that. So it's basically.
No. Sorry. Could you repeat again that point?
So I read, Prabhuji, that reading through that it was actually when Srimati Radharani's love, it was explained when she actually looked at Lord Shri Krishna. So in that ecstasy, it is said that actually she actually melted in that love.
Sorry, be careful. They dug it. In Radha Kund, there's another Gopi Kund inside.
Yes.
So all the gopis, I think I had done given a class also on this. So they broke their bangles and they dug it, a small pond. And that's how it happened. And then they asked Krishna, had all the rivers from all the universes, sacred rivers, water coming from there, from Shyamakund into Radha Kund. So there's a small passage from Shyamakund to which goes into Radha Kund. No?
Yes, yeah, and that past time, yes, Pooja. Yeah, we discussed that. Okay. But that point is also mentioned there, but okay, it is maybe not that authentic, probably. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. The Radha Kund was exalted because, obviously, it belongs to Srimati Radharani. And as we discussed the past time, how that was formed. And that's why it was very dear to Lord Krishna, And obviously, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna among all the gopis. That's why there is a great importance. And Shri Radha Kund also represents the pure love that Srimati Radharani has for Krishna. And the consciousness, So when we say that actually we're just discussing this point that what it means to be attained, attaining the Radha Kund. It is said that Radha Kund is very rarely attained, even by great personalities, who are actually fully engaged in devotional service. So it is very hard for the ordinary devotees to actually get to the stage. And here is mentioned that who are only engaged in practice of Vaidhi Bhakti. So we know what Vaidhi Bhakti is because we follow all these rules and regulation and deity worship. So this is a beginning stage. So for actually neophyte devotees who are only following this Vaidhi Bhakti, it's very hard it's not very easy to get to the stage that they can say that they have attained the Radha Kund. So attaining Radha Kund means actually here is actually purification, purification of our consciousness. That actually we need to understand what Radha Kund represent. So here is said that Radha Kund actually represents Srimati Radharani is actually pure love for Krishna. So we're talking about the actual bhav of the topmost gopi here. So actually to get to that level or to get our consciousness to that level is obviously not an easy task. So that's why it is said that is very rarely attained by ordinary devotees. Even for the great devotees, it's not very easy task to do. Okay, can we read the next purport, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, can you share the screen? Because.
Okay, it was, sorry. When I logged up, I think it was unshared. A minute. And Hare Krishna, Amrish Prabhu, I think I'm not sure because I tried to broadcast that on YouTube, but it actually asking me for the, yeah.
Yeah, we have done it. We have done it.
Okay.
Let us do it now. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, it is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis if he once takes a bath in Radha Kund. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the banks of Radha Kund, he should at least take a bath in the lake as many times as possible. This is a most important item in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur writes in this connection that Sri Radha Kund is the most select place for those interested in advancing their devotional service in the wake of the lady friends, sakhis, and confidential serving maids, manjaris of Srimati Radharani. Living entities who are eager to return to the transcendental kingdom of God, Golok Vrindavan, by means of attaining their spiritual bodies, Siddhadeha, should live at Radha Kund, take shelter of the confidential serving maids of Sri Radha, and under their direction, engage constantly in her service. This is the most exalted method for those engaged in devotional service under the protection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that even great sages and great devotees like Narad and Sanak do not get an opportunity to come to Radha Kund to take their baths. What then to speak of ordinary devotees? If by great fortune one gets an opportunity to come to Radha Kund and bathe even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna exactly as the gopis did. It is also recommended that one should live on the banks of Radha Kund and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material conceptions, taking shelter of Sri Radha and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up the body, he will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the banks of Radha Kund. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of the Radha Kund and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is a difficult position to attain, even for great sages and devotees like Narad. Thus, there is no limit to the glory of Sri Radha Kund. By serving Radha Kund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So here, as it is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis if he once take a bath in Radha Kund. So this point actually, as even in a translation, we discussed that there's a bit of contradiction, because the first point it is said that even for the great sages, devotees, it's very difficult to obtain the Radha Kund. And second point, it says that if one takes bath once in a Radha Kund, he can develop the pure love for Lord Krishna. So sounds a little bit contradictory when you think, initially, but we need to try to understand, as the question was raised by the Vench Mataji, what it means to be attaining the Radha Kund, right? So we need to actually get that point clarified first. So actually, because Srila Rupa Goswami is actually explaining this point in the last verse of actually Nectar of Instruction, right? So one may think that if it's that easy to just go there physically, at Radha Kund and just take bath once and job is done. So it's not that easy, that you just take a bath once and you will develop a pure love of Krishna. So first we need to understand what Radha Kund is, right? And what it means to be actually serving the Radha Kund. Because if you do not go there in a proper consciousness and, you just go and jump there and take a bath, that's quite offensive, So Srila Prabhupada also instructed this point, because when he brought the devotees from the west to the Vrindavan, and when they're actually visiting various places, they also visited Radha Kund. So at that time, initially when devotees actually, they do not know. Actually, they were actually taking bath and splashing water at each other. So when Srila Prabhupada observed that, obviously he didn't like it, he got agitated as well. And I think he instructed devotees that not to do that. That's very offensive. We are not here for a sightseeing. We should not actually treat this actually Radha Kund as ordinary lake that where we can just jump, swim, and actually try to enjoy the water. That is not the purpose to come here. We need to understand what Radha Kund represents, and we must serve Radha Kund. We are here to serve Radha Kund, serve Srimati Radharani, and not to actually come and enjoy here. So that is a point. It's not just you can just go there, jump and you can assume that you have actually attained the Radha Kund. So Radha Kund represent, Srimati Radharani's pure love for Krishna, who's the topmost gopi. And it is said that actually to attain Radha Kund means actually the follow in the footstep of Srimati Radharani or her Sakhis and Manjarism. We try to actually follow them, actually how they, we try to follow them, and we try to actually inculcate, those qualities in ourselves. We cannot, we should not imitate, we take the shelter and we try to actually learn. So that is very important. In previous verse as well, Sanjay Prabhu tried to explain these points. Some of these points actually came there as well. So I would like to just refer to one of the verse. I think I thought is relevance is here from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is from the Madhya Leela, chapter 17, verse 136. Quite famous verse. Atha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyai sevon mukehi jivadav swayam eva spurti adaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'll read this translation. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified, and one gradually come to understand who Krishna really is. Okay. So I thought it's very important point that is mentioned here, because in initial step, even for the neophyte devotees like me, because we are very much on a material platform. So we cannot actually understand, with our material senses, which are actually contaminated, not purified. We cannot understand Krishna or his holy name, form, qualities, or pastime. And obviously, we cannot understand actually the consciousness of our topmost devotee as well. So first, we need to actually make an effort to purify ourselves. Our consciousness has to be purified. Where it is said that actually we need to actually render a service, which start with the tongue. Sevan mukehi jivada, right? And that's why we have been instructed to actually chant the holy name of the Lord, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that is the process is given here that Srila Prabhupada always mentioned this point. You chant with your tongue, listen very carefully with your ear. What is the difficulty, right? And you can nicely partake some prasad. So that is a process is given by Srila Prabhupada from the beginning, and so sometimes we do not understand actually the importance behind this process that is given to us. That this process is actually help us to purify, our consciousness, and it will help us to actually get rid of all the anarthas from our heart, all the various bad habits that we have, and our ahankar, ego, everything. We have to actually, we need to actually remove them from our heart, as it is mentioned in Shishtastakam as well. As we chant, it will help us to actually cleanse, our heart of the dust that is actually accumulated there for millions of years, birth after birth. So we cannot really expect that we can just visit one day Radha Kund, take a bath there, and we already purified and we have developed a pure love for Krishna. We have to actually follow this process. That is very important. And even actually, if you think, because we studied all these verses in Nectar of Instruction, starting from text 1 to text 10, and now Srila Rupa Goswami is actually discussing this point of actually the importance of Radha Kund, and he's saying that you can take bath once and still, you can able to develop that consciousness. Means no doubt if you take a bath, definitely it will be beneficial, but unless you purified your consciousness, I think it's very rare, that anybody can just develop the pure love just like that. So one has to go through this purification process, and one has to actually understand the mood actually that has been taught to us, the mood of our actually Guru Shish Parampara, and if you actually follow that mood and if you try to implement the instructions given. So, we discussed actually from the first verse is talking about actually, how to actually control the senses. Second verse actually, what is actually beneficial to our devotional service, what is not beneficial to our devotional service. So we actually studied all these verses step by step, and now we're actually got to the text 11 where actually this point is being discussed. So obviously, we need to actually implement all those instructions that we actually studied from text 1 to text 10. Then probably we can actually able to understand, what is the actually meaning of actually attaining the Radha Kund. So that is actually, I was meditating on this point, actually what it means, how to actually attain the Radha Kund. And yeah, one important point is that actually I'm also not purified, so actually even actually it's very hard for me to actually understand what it exactly means. But I'm just reading the actually, the purport given by Srila Prabhupada and actually some of his lectures. And what he mentioned here in the purport as well, in the conclusion, it is said that by serving Radha Kundan, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under her eternal guidance of the gopis. So serving part is very, very important, serving Radha Kund. So we have to actually learn to serve Srimati Radharani very nicely. And of course, we cannot approach her directly. We have to actually go through our Guru Shishya Parampara. So as it says that actually the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, so we are at the very bottom, and we should be satisfied with that we should actually serve first our seniors, actually our Shiksha Gurus, our counselors, who have actually taught us how to chant, how to actually render the devotional service. So I think if we do that nicely, we try to implement those instructions, then slowly we will able to actually purify our senses. Because as it says here, that with the material senses, Atha Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriya. With the material senses, we cannot able to understand Krishna's holy name, his pastimes, his qualities. So Radha Kund is so exalted. How we expect that we can just understand or attain it with the impurified senses? So the purification process is the key here, and the process is already explained from text 1 to text 10. We have been through everything, right? How to purify our senses, what is actually beneficial for our devotional service, what is actually not beneficial for our devotional service. So all these things, we need to meditate on those points, and we try to actually practically implement it in our daily lives. Then we can actually able to purify, our consciousness, because Hare Krishna mantra is given, and it's said that if you chant it sincerely, concentrating on the sound vibration, then we can able to purify our heart. But again, process is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that, which is said that that one should actually think oneself lower than a blade of grass. We should not actually expect the honor from others, but we should be ready to give all honor to others. So those points, and also that one should be tolerant like a tree. So first we should actually ask ourselves a question: did we actually implement those instructions? That's instruction in Sri Shishtastakam, and is very, very important instruction. It is said that if you want to chant the holy name of Krishna constantly, Kirtaniya Sadahari, then we need to actually develop or implement those instructions in our lives, because our ego is always stopping us. We always hanker for others' adoration. Even if we do a little service, we want a recognition. Because if we don't get a recognition, then we get angry, So obviously we are not purified, So one can actually judge oneself, from the actually instructions are given there. So unless we purify ourselves, unless we are able to chant Krishna's name constantly, how can we expect our hearts would be pure enough that we can actually able to attain Radha Kund? So the consciousness is the key, that actually purification of the consciousness. And in that mood, actually, if you serve, our actually Shiksha Gurus or Diksha Guru, your counselors, then I think we can understand, how we can actually serve Radha Kund, So that is actually one point actually I was meditating on, that actually what it mean, how to actually, what is the meaning of attaining a Radha Kund? And that contradictory point that we discussed, that can anyone just take a bath once in a Radha Kund and they can develop the pure love of Krishna? So I think it's not that easy, so we have to follow the process that is actually given. So that is actually what I understood, for the meditating on this point. But obviously, these instructions are very advanced instruction, and I'm not an advanced devotee. So I would like to actually request Amrish Prabhu to actually, expand or on this point, or correct if any of my understanding is incorrect here.
So, sorry, this is for attainment of Radha Kund. That's the point you're raising?
Yes. Prabhuji, I think Divanshi Mataji also asked the question, what is actually meaning of the attaining the Radha Kund?
Yes. You have explained very nicely. I think you explained very nicely. No problem. Unless you want me to clearly expand some points, you let me know.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think there's one point I think we would like more clarification here as we're going through, where it is said in a purport that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in this connection that Sri Radha Kund is the most select place for those interested in advancing their devotional service in the wake of the lady friends, Sakhis, and confidential serving maid Manjaris of Srimati Radharani. So I think that point need little bit more clarification, Prabhu.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll try my best. But as I said, you nicely covered the points. It's not that I know a lot of things. I don't. They're all students, By the mercy of Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, we try our best in preaching. So, Sri Radha Kund and Shyam Kund, they both are twin lakes together, And yes, as you correctly, Sri Prabhu mentioned, and Sanjeev Prabhu also had mentioned, that it's not that you go buy a ticket to Vrindavan, you take a taxi and go to Radha Kund and take a bath in Radha Kund, and it's all done, Take a dip and hooray, it's all done. Hare Krishna. Yes, it is beneficial. It is also mentioned by both of you that one should take just sprinkle some water on your head first. You can take a bath also if you want to, but just be very careful. I have not done it so far. If you want to do it, it's entirely up to you. No problem. Right. So there are pastimes also. So towards probably one of the classes, we will do a separate program on the pastimes and the appearance of Radha Kund. So see that there are different sampradayas, reciprocal succession. And Radha Kund's speciality, importance of Radha Kund is majorly found in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So other Sampradayas also go. Radha Kund is very famous. Okay. But not as important as you. For somebody, Gokul has got more importance. And even they have got the different day for Janmashtami also. So, okay, it's a bit different there for each of them. Now, Sri Radhakund was dug out by Srimati Radharani and all the gopis. Okay? And filled by Krishna, by all the waters of the whole universe. Sacred rivers of all the universe. Okay? Now, this was also lost over a period of time. Now, there are different stories about this, how it was found also. The authentic story which we follow past time is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw it was just a paddy field, small water reservoir, very small water reservoir in a paddy field. So he jumped there, danced in ecstasy, and he took baths there, saying this is Radhakund. Since then, it was manifested. Okay? Now, why is it that the importance of Radhakund in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya? Because we try to worship Krishna in the mood of the gopis. Now, I'll tell you something very important. Keep it to yourself and don't try to implement it now. Okay? For us, Radharani is more important than Krishna. Okay, in whole of Vrindavan, there is a case. That is true. But we don't show this to everybody. It's a very, very personal affair. To the world, we chant Hare Krishna, we are Krishna consciousness. Alright? But we achieve Krishna consciousness through the mercy of Radharani. Now, the Manjaris and the Sakhis. Manjaris are the maid servants, and Sakhis are the friends. They are eternally liberated souls also. And even conditioned souls can also attain that position. This will be revealed to you over a period of time. Don't jump. Okay? Those who are going to listen to this recording in the future, I can request, don't jump. If you want to jump, after 10 years, if you're listening to this, somebody new, then don't wait for it. It will be revealed to you in your, it will come to your studies and all that. So what happens is this, that Krishna's only business is to love Radha, and other business to love Krishna. That's what they do. In Vrindavan, that's what they did. Full stop. And he was a very young boy, 7 to 11 years old. They were not some teenagers, and all that. So even with different pastimes that have been performed by Krishna and Radha, the different energies of Krishna work for arranging those pastimes. So we have understood that there is an internal potency of Krishna, there is external potency of Krishna, and we have marginal potency of Krishna. Now, internal potency of Krishna is also divided into different categories, which perform their seva, service, of arranging. One of the potencies arranges for the place where they would meet. Another internal potency arranges for the living beings associated, liberated souls, to associate with Krishna and arrange of that. Okay? Right. And other, they arrange for the where they are going to meet. So what is the place? Whole of Vrindavan, other places. But Krishna never goes out of Vrindavan. Okay? He doesn't go out of Vaikuntha. Even when he comes on earth, that's why he manifests all what is in the spiritual world in the material world. He cannot walk. He cannot. Even the demigods, when they come on the earth planet, they don't walk on the land. It's too degraded to walk on the land. So Krishna would not also. Okay. So now when Radha is served by the friends and the maid servants, they know exactly what is to be done, how it is to be done, and there are thousands and millions of them serving Krishna and Radha in different pastimes at different places. So Astakalya Leela in Vrindavan, there are 8 Leelas, eightfold pastimes every day that happens in Vrindavan, starting from morning till the night. And you can go. Morning goes there, afternoon goes here, and afternoon goes here, evening goes here. Haribo, very nice. Very nice, very, very happy. I got Tulsi Mata also from there. And I'm very, very happy. Here's the prasadam, very, very happy. Yes, of course. Everybody does that. Nothing wrong with it. But I have a very, I'm a little bit heavy on this point, Don't keep it so cheap, So that's why go in gardens of devotees who can do, So for the night pastimes, when we go to a particular place, we just sit and chant, Even the pandas know over a period of time that these people are very serious. So they reveal some more information, and this. So, and those who went alone on their own, which happened, they lost their faith. Actually, they went to Vrindavan and they lost their faith. You see? Because satisfaction is not there, that every knowledge will be given to us. You see? So, those who want to perfect the service to the Manjaris or also gopis. Gopis are not women only. Go means senses. P means pibate. One who drinks the nectar of Krishna's love through all his or her senses is a gopi. We think gopi is a woman dancing. So many of them wear gopis, the dressing of girls and dance and all this going on everywhere. Complete bogusness. Please be careful about these things. You have to be very serious about it, So, those who want to serve Radha Krishna in the conjugal love affairs of Radha Krishna, best is to follow in the moods of the gopis, which are of two kinds. Those are the Sakhis, who are friends, and Manjaris, who are maidservants. And then slowly we become those living beings over a period of time as they become detached from the material world. They can also, by chanting, enter into the pastimes of Radha Krishna. When Krishna allows this to happen, when Radharani allows this to happen, because this pastimes happens every day. See? And one doesn't need to be only in there to do it. But of course, one is there is best, no doubt about it. All right? So that is the reason why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says those who want to become serious in this mood, then Radha Kund is important for them. If they want to love Krishna and Krishna's Aishwarya, there are other sampradayas for doing it. But they love Krishna and Aishwarya. Here there is no Aishwarya for Krishna. Of course, there is respect for Krishna, but there is no Aishwarya for Krishna. Gopis love Krishna because of Krishna. Yeah. I think more than this, about what is not Aishwarya, we will reveal to you over a period of time. Okay? But this is a very important thing, that we love Krishna because Radharani loves Krishna. For us, Radharani is more important than Krishna. Okay? So, I think this, for now, this should be hopefully enough. Is it answers your question, basic questions, Mother and Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, I think thank you very much for nicely explaining this point.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Others also, okay, your students are all right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. Please continue.
Okay, thank you, Vishnu. Okay, I think we are very close, just 2 minutes left to the program. So what I propose that actually we went through the purport as well, and we answered the question by Devansh Mataji as well. But if you have more questions or any points that need clarification, please post that in our intermediate class, WhatsApp group. And then we will decide if there is another class on this verse next week, or we can move on to the next point. Okay, then we'll conclude our session today. So there's a next program is going to start in 2 minutes. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. Thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for the opportunity, and thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.